diverse industries from healthcare and technology to entertainment and professional services. She is a sought after speaker known for her engaging delivery on topics like emotional intelligence, workforce planning, and the fractional executive model. As co host of the Frictional Age podcast, she educates entrepreneurs on innovative leadership solutions. Carol is also a certified coach who empowers mid to execute level leaders to enhance their emotional intelligence and leadership impact. Her values based approach fosters authenticity, confidence, and resilience in today's dynamic business environment. That was a really great, inspiring bio. You have done a really great job, Carol. And the
Thank,
stage is all yours.
thank you so much. I assume they're going to put my presentation up so I can go through what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, you can share your presentation.
Fantastic. Okay. So you probably might know the following phrase, but I've just kind of flipped it a little bit. So you think you can lead. My name is Carol, and I do appreciate the intro. One of the things in my intro that I really like is talking about adaptability and resilience. And I am originally from California. So if I say dude, please know it's just a way of staying human while talking business. So, dude, do you make decisions just on data, or do you really lead from your gut in the moment and what feels right? Because after 25 years of teaching the world how to swing dance and 20 years of leading and coaching in business, what I've learned, dance lessons and life lessons are synonymous because so much is a parallel. You may be saying, I don't dance, or I have two left feet. Well, guess what? You just told me your blockers. You just showed me that you're fearful of looking silly or failing. You're a perfectionist. You might have control issues or the fear of the unknown. You have maybe low confidence in yourself. And the most important thing that we have to get over is you're judging yourself before even trying. And that's probably showing up in your leadership too. So I help you become a better leader by discovering blockers you didn't even know you had. And I help you identify where some of those blockers are showing up elsewhere. And then we align your gut with your goals. So let me guess. You've probably got strategy, you've got vision, you've got KPIs, and maybe even like a personality assessment or two. And yet, have you ever walked into a room, even with your own team, and felt completely out of step? Like the rhythm shifted or something, and nobody told you that the music changed. I've been there. I've coached there. And I can honestly say I've danced my way through it, quite literally. Because leadership isn't just about thinking, it's about moving, syncing and adapting and leading with your whole self, your brain, your body, and yes, if you're up for it, maybe a little footwork. But today we're going to explore how the same parts of your brain that help you to improvise on a dance floor are the same parts that help you lead a movement or inspire trust. And most importantly, help you recover after a stumble. That's the resilience. And you just have to have some willingness to maybe feel moved or move a little bit yourself. Because we tend to think of leadership just as strategy or planning and execution, but all of those things are movement, alignment, pace, rhythm, improvisation. It is just like a dance. So Everywhere I go, I do meet brilliant leaders, experienced, committed, and passionate. And still, they or their teams are completely missing the mark. The communication is off, trust is thin, burnout's creeping in like a slow leak. We all know those symptoms, but the cause isn't always obvious. It's not necessarily a lack of skills, but it's a lack of like sync. Leaders who used to move in rhythm with their teams now feel like they're chasing them, or even worse, dragging them. And when you feel it, when the energy in the room drops, that's when you do things like, updates become checklists instead of conversations, and nobody's really sure who's leading anymore, or worse, who's listening. And the go-to solution, another meeting, another strategy deck, another initiative, right? I know we had our previous speaker talking about you do everything and then they give you more. But what if the problem isn't in your head, but it's in your body? What if your team doesn't need more direction per se, but they need connection? And when they need that rhythm, what they need is movement, and you can get it back. I did work with a leadership team recently, a mid-sized tech company, smart, mission-driven, global, deeply invested in their work, but they were stuck. Meetings were really tense. I walked in after the conversation around return to office, and decisions were being dragged. Nobody actually made the decision on whether or not they're going to return to office. And every conversation felt like a negotiation. So I had them stand up, no slides, no org chart, just music and a simple partner movement exercise. Within 5 minutes, people were laughing, they were making eye contact, they were letting go of that struggle and that grip with professionalism, and they started to feel like a team again. And by the end, one of the VPs came up to me and said, "We've had more real connection in 30 minutes of this than in 3 months of staff meetings." So it is important to understand that there's power in movement, and it reopens the emotional channel that works when other things tend to shut down. So if meetings aren't fixing it and burnout is rising, what does help? Well, here's what I've seen. So I'm going to give you some notes. When we get leaders out of their head and into their body, even briefly, something shifts. They start to make decisions with clarity. They give feedback with empathy. They stop managing from a place of fear and start leading with rhythm. And that's why I created the D.A.N.C.I.N.G method. It's not just a metaphor, it's a leadership framework, and it's grounded in neuroscience, coaching psychology, and embodied learning. I've used it with teams who've totally lost their spark, and here it comes. And what it helps them to do is really understand that over the last 7 years, I've combined all of that, and I've created a method that gets you and your team more connected. So define, align, nurture, coach, integrate, navigate, and ground. Define your signature leadership rhythm. Rediscover what actually drives you, not the expectations, not the performance, but the rhythm that's uniquely yours. It's not about finding your purpose. It's about remembering it, because you do know what your purpose is, and your voice will get louder even if you whisper. You want to align with shared values and team energy. Alignment is when your outer world reflects your inner truth. It's knowing your yeses and your sacred no's. When you feel resentment, dread, or fatigue, it's not failure, it's a sign you're out of sync. So let's help you realign. You want to nurture trust and emotional intelligence. Burnout isn't about workload, it's about emotional depletion. Great leaders nurture their energy. their boundaries, and their relationships. Care isn't a reward, it's a responsibility to yourself and to your people. Coach through challenge and feedback. The best leaders don't give answers, they create space. Coaching means you ask better questions, that you challenge with compassion, and you hold people capable. You want to lead with curiosity, not control. Integrate all of your roles fully. One of our speakers talked about that today. Stop splitting yourself to survive. When you show up as the artist, the parent, the rebel, the CEO, all in one room, you actually create real authenticity. Integration is when you stop performing and start embodying. You want to navigate uncertainty with grace. You can't always change the system, but you can change your compass. Navigation means knowing when to pause, when to pivot, and when to push. Grace does not mean soft, it means strategic. And ground yourself in embodied confidence. Presence isn't about polish, it's about truth. The strongest leaders don't always speak first, but when they do, the room leans in, grounded, and that leadership is felt in your posture, in your energy, and even in your breath. So this isn't just a feel-good exercise. These are team outcomes with lasting impact. We have over 30 direct correlations between dancing insights and results in the team and the leader. Here's just a few. Embodied leading is about engagement going up and collaboration improving, and your team walks away remembering how leadership feels. And there's stats behind it. Whether it's from McKinsey or the Google Aristotle Project, even our stats of seeing stronger teams have trust and fewer communication breakdowns in just 30 days. But leadership can be lonely, even when you're the one that everyone looks to for direction. And that's why I work with individual leaders too. When you're stepping into a new role, navigating self-doubt, or you just want to feel more like yourself in your leadership, this is where we start. Some people come in for one super powerful session. Others want a rhythm, if you will, that they can lean into for a few months. Either way, you do not have to do this alone. And if something's stirring in you while you watch all of this, just pay attention to that, because that's your next move calling you. And for your team, I mean, let's be honest. Who the heck wants another PowerPoint presentation? I had to do this one, and I would much rather be in the dance floor with you right now. They do need a pattern interrupt, a way to reconnect with themselves, with each other, and with what they're here to do. And that's what the Dancing Leaders delivers. Whether it's a full day retreat or even a 60-minute virtual session, the outcomes are the same. More trust, more clarity, more emotional range in how your people show up. And I do know budgets are tight. I know time is limited, and that's why I've designed options that meet your team where they are without losing any of the magic. No travel, we can go virtual. No budget, you don't have to do the whole day. We can just start with a keynote. But this is going to have your team get through that edge of burnout and get that strategic investment that you've been making all year. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you're about to see what happens when a room full of leaders choose courage over comfort and connection over control. Now, most of these leaders came in unsure, majorly guarded, and very resistant by some of them. And then they started moving. And this is what unfolded. And yes, these are real workshops. Yes, this is actual dancing. And yes, it works. Now, this is what it looks like when leaders remember how to feel, when they stop managing and start connecting with themselves, with each other, with the moment. Smiles abound, everybody laughing. You'll notice no one is getting it right. That's not the goal, right? The goal is presence, listening, adapting, trusting yourself or your partner. That's leadership in motion. And the science is there. Movement improves memory, emotional intelligence, and decision making. But this is the part you can't measure. This is what changes people. Some of these folks hadn't danced in years. Some never had, but they left the room lighter, stronger, and more connected. And this is what Dancing Leaders does. So if this resonated, don't let the moment pass. So we can talk this week. I only have a few new clients and teams each session, or each season, I should say, in each session. And not because of scarcity, because I want to be fully present for those I work with. Now, if your team is tired or stuck or drifting, this is a great pattern interrupt. And if you're ready for the next chapter, whether it's bold or quiet or brave or overdue, I'll meet you wherever that edge is. You don't need another leadership framework sitting in a folder. You need one that lives in your body, in your voice, in your energy. And that's what Dancing Leaders does. So whether it's your next offsite, your next retreat, or your next breakthrough, let's try to bring this to life. And I'll leave with one little note. I did once work, and this is probably resonating with some people. I worked with a leadership team, and one woman came in and just stood frozen at the edge of the dance floor, arms crossed, classic with the I'll just observe kind of energy, right? By the end of the session, she was leading. She was smiling. She said, I have never felt this powerful in years. And it's not because she nailed the steps, right? Because everybody's learning, everybody's tripping up, but because she remembered who she was in motion. That's what I want for all of you. We can all remember a time when we were on the dance floor. We laugh, we hang out with our friends, we enjoy the music. Our brain is sparking and firing with all the positive hormones. You can use my QR code to book some time with me anytime. And I want to thank you all so much for kind of dancing your way into some great leadership. And I will go into the chat and see what's going on. Sophia. So my question about my podcast, The Fractional Edge. Yes, I do have a podcast. It's called The Fractional Edge. And how does it support modern entrepreneurs? Fractional executives or fractional work is a great way to lean into one area of your magic. So many of us, like myself, I've been doing human resources for over 20 years. I've been coaching that long as well. And I do a number of things. What the fractional edge really helps people find and define is what within your experience is your true magic. What is it that you could do every day and never get tired of it? And how do you then market that as a business? So the Fractional Edge, we have 2 seasons. Our 3rd season's ready to come out, but it definitely shows you how other people have done it all through all walks of life. And we talk about how this fractional movement is really the wave of the future when it comes to working with businesses of all size. Sorry, Melinda, go ahead. What questions might you have?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Carol, and thank you for answering one of the questions from the chat. And I'd like to ask one more question. How can emotional intelligence help leaders succeed during change?
How can emotional intelligence help leaders during change? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times in change, when I'm doing change management sessions with clients, I liken it to the stages of grief. You have to go through this loss, right? Because change is a loss in your emotions and in your brain. And many times your brain is telling you you did it wrong. And that's why we're changing it. And that's not the case. So sometimes we kind of have to go through the stages of grief, like let it go through the bargaining, go through the acceptance, go through the anger. But then what emotional intelligence is going to help you do is better understand, why does that bother me? That's the self-awareness. Why does this changing of this thing bother me? And then how am I managing my emotions during that change? Because the ultimate goal with change and emotional intelligence is building a stronger relationship after the change, right? And being socially aware of how that change is not only impacting you as a leader, but how it's impacting your team. So emotional intelligence must be the cornerstone of a good, strong servant leadership.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much for your valuable time and really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it too. And look, guys, I'm ready to dance with you. So you also can work with me and we don't have to dance at all. Trust me when I say I have some people who are like, please don't make me move. And I totally understand. You got to want to dance.
Thank you so much. And be on the backstage and join in the next session, Carol.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.